What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for February 26th, 2023. 322.1 is now live, and they hit us with this crazy Idris event. We had our first casualty of 323, and in my opinion, it's a bad one, and the distribution centers won't be as bad as everyone thought. All that and more on today's Week in Review. And as always, if this is your first Week in Review, this is where I take all of the official Star Citizen news each week, put it into one video, and share some of my opinions about it. I also live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, starting around 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We got a huge video for you today, but before we get to it, I got to share with you today's huge sponsor. This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is disrupting the men's grooming market. Manscaped is trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide for their trimmers, liquid formulations, and premium boxers. It's time to power up your grooming routine with the Handyman Compact Face Shaver from Manscaped, guys. You know we gamers always strive for precision, speed, and performance in everything we do, and that includes our grooming. The Handyman is here to take your grooming game to the next level. Let's start with the most important feature, the dual blade at the top that leads to a quick, close shave. Equipped with a standard foil shaver as well as a long hair leveler blade, the Handyman will knock down to up to 3 days worth of growth. Say goodbye to patchy beards and hello to clean, well-groomed appearances. I personally use the leveler blade to clean up my beard because the Handyman features skin-safe technology that is designed to help reduce nicks and cuts. It's also compact, lightweight, and is even airplane friendly. When I go on a trip, this is my go-to grooming tool to take with me. The 60 minutes of battery life ensures multiple shaves per charge. So fellow gamers, if you want to level up your grooming game, the Handyman Compact Face Shaver from Manscaped is a must-have in your arsenal. It combines precision, power, and performance to ensure you always look your best on and off the screen. And here's the best part. As a special treat for my gaming community, I've partnered with Manscaped to offer you an exclusive discount. Visit manscaped.com and use the code SaltEMike at checkout and get 20% off your purchase of the Handyman. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Once again, thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring, and thank you guys for watching the sponsor spots and supporting me. Coming up on a year of full time, it's been a crazy year and we had a crazy week, so let's start out with some patch notes. On Monday, we had a PTU patch, and piggybacking off of last week, they're simply putting out bug fixes related to this overdrive event they're trying to do. I was able to complete the first stage, but like these fixes show, a number of fail points are still existing since there's so many missions actually being run. There was not a patch Tuesday, and I attempted to play this again with a group. None of the missions were spawning. It was a mess. So naturally, they just pushed 322.1 live, but none of these overdrive events are running at the moment, so we'll start out with feature updates. Like with most live updates, and this is no different than normal, it's the culmination of patches that we've already discussed, but I'll go over them again a little bit. This patch includes GravLev updates, distortion changes that are not entirely a nerf, but buffs to shields defending from it. Also, there no longer will be silly issues where ships are like permanently broken because the power plant is the only item that can be damaged for now. They also updated mining items descriptions to show inert material level instead of mentioning filtering, officially killing any hope that filtering would be a thing for the prospector, right? And the force that I still haven't seen work to minables shattering, yeah, apparently it's also in FPS minables. I still haven't seen this thing work. Let me know down in the comments if you guys had. Bug fixes. The only one I'm really going to touch on is persistence of ships in game. I heard people lost some, so I followed the directions that they provided through their patch notes, and I purchased on the PTU the Redeemer. Well, actually, I purchased in live the Redeemer, and then I still have it now because I went through the proper steps. Apparently, when we move to 323, you're not going to have to go through all these hoops to get to keep your Redeemer. Hopefully, they should stay. So, fingers crossed. Then, this Idris event. So, CIG devs are spawning in Idris, and they're doing it like a platinum ticket thing, but without a ticket. You just have to be in the driver's seat the longest, or in the Idris M, which is, honestly, it's like a super goofy event. And in many ways, they learned nothing from the F8 event. Nothing. And in some ways, they learned a lot. The main issue here is there aren't many running, so people are server hopping all the time. And nobody knows when they're popping on servers. And easily, and I think this is a low number, 90% of the people who are actually wanting to participate in the game, not necessarily feel entitled to the Idris, but just want to participate, fly to it, see the mission, go to the marker, have a chance, have to sit on the sidelines completely, not even in the patch. Lots of people complaining about streamers and all these things because streamers are jumping through every hoop possible to try to get in, and some of them are seeing it, some of them are not. I was definitely not on the sidelines on Friday, the first day of the event, but I absolutely was on the sidelines on Saturday. And in my opinion, this is a complete failure of an event. If you're running an event where 90% of the players that want to participate can't even see the event you're running, you're doing it wrong. Now, where they did learn is they're trying to spawn AI Idrises, and like that can be boarded as well, so they can do more of them. But what we noticed is we don't think the AI Idris has a pilot on it, so it just falls. And mine was on Crusader, so we think it just fell into the planet's surface. So yeah, I was able to find one on Saturday, sort of, but not really. So now, again, I had the absolute luck of not only finding 2 on Friday, but I was able to board one, get into the type of battle that shows the power of Star Engine. And it was insane. It was fun. It was epic. It was everything CIG would want it to be. But again, almost nobody will get to experience that, right? You will, and the communication around this whole thing is absolutely horrible. You never know when it's running. The first event, everybody blew up the ship. There were still some CIG devs on the server. We didn't know if they were going to spawn another one. They didn't. They just sat there and didn't say anything. They didn't say congratulations. They didn't say you failed. They said nothing. So it was just like stupid and weird. You also can win an Idris if you make like the best 10-second video of you boarding. They're also selling the Idris all weekend, which was actually the point of the event, clearly, to show you how cool it could be, so you buy it. I really hope they do better with this stuff. And with that, let's go to roadmap updates. All right, and this entire update is a release view update for 3.23. And they're not in a position to change the progress tracker as there's still way too much movement with the squadron teams coming over. But they start out with the bad news first, ripping off the Band-Aid. And in my opinion, it's pretty bad. The reason it is so bad is cargo is not a mechanic that everybody wants to use. And to be fair, neither are vehicles, but I think the reason most people aren't using them right now is because of the friction it takes to load them into your ships. You got to go down to an outpost, and it takes 15-20 minutes where this could take 2. The ease of the hangar probably would have changed all that, right? The roars at Citizencon when they showed this were so loud. People really want this. And this was the first real gameplay, in my opinion, kind of gameplay, to fall off the roadmap from Citizencon. And this fell off. There isn't even a timeline of when it'll be done. The rest of the stuff is Arena Commander thing. So the Arena Commander team is getting work done regardless of moving to the PU, which is pretty impressive. Private matches are coming in. This is a really cool thing for a lot of reasons. Mainly the event planning, like Atmo Esports, things like that, will be easy to make to run their events. I ran a ton of stream-related things in private matches in Star Marine years and years ago. I look forward to being able to do it again. Gravlev Royale is next, which is a new mode that mixes Gravlev races with guns. It'll be fun. It'll be wild. I don't know how popular it will be, though. Miner's Lament will be utilized as not just a racing map, but it will be all flight modes. And lastly, the big one. I posted a huge video on this channel, so if you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to do so. It'll be up there. But engineering will be in experimental mode in 3.23. That's insane because it's unexpected. Right? There'll be 3 modes. Not sure what the plan is for these at all. I'm sure we'll hear more details on an ISC. but you gotta assume a PvP, a PvE maybe, and something else. I saw a ton of comments about how this isn't fun, and it's bad gameplay and so on. What do you think people are gonna do on multi-crew ships, guys? I'm lost here. They have to do something on multi-crew ships, but they also stated a million times now that you will not be putting out fires every 5 seconds, but regardless, this is an arena commander mode where you get to sound off and share what isn't fun when you try it, right? When you try it, you'll get the sound off that this isn't fun. So they can make the experience where it needs to be for the PU. Now, with that, small roadmap update, but pretty impactful one. Let's move on to video updates. And we start out with an ISC titled Masters and Blasters. This episode is all about master modes, something we've been hearing about for at least, I think, 3 years now, and they started out with the biggest part of what we'll see in 3.23.
All ships, based on how big they are and what kind of purpose they serve, will get an archetype assigned to them. A typical archetype is a snub fighter. Very, very small, very agile, but it cannot dish out a lot of damage, and it can also not receive a lot of damage before it pops. Light fighter. Very maneuverable, decent weapon loadout, and it's basically there for agility engagements. Medium fighter.
Warning.
Pretty agile for its size, but it has a lot more offensive firepower.
Target destroyed.
Heavy fighter. They don't maneuver well, but when you happen to be at the front of them, you can die very, very fast. Now, these are basic tuning archetypes that we have for our fighter ships class, and all ships in that size will be assigned to one of these things. However, based on the ship and what the purpose of the ship is, we have variations of that. For example, we have the interceptor variant of these tunings. This is a tuning variation that can apply to any of these archetypes. An interceptor tuning for a ship means that this ship exchanges the agility. With agility, we mean the rotation rate and the lateral strafing accelerations, simply for speed. So they will not be able to turn their velocity vector much, they will not be able to rotate much, but they will be very, very fast just going forward. Racing ships are like the base archetype that almost all racers ended up with so far are interceptors, because racers prefer speed over everything else. But you want to pick the right racer for the right track. The other end of the range are our, let's call them fighter bomber tunings. That means we trade agility for simply durability. On top of the fighters, we just keep going with this. We have gunboats for ships that are constellation-sized. We have corvettes for something like a hammerhead, right? So our hammerhead is, for us, is our anti-fighter corvette. Frigates are basically the biggest ship that players can control in the universe right now. So we're talking Idris, we're talking 890 Jumped. I know that players cannot control the Idris, but we're talking ships like the Carrack. Those are frigates, really, really big ones, but also they will have variations in their tuning based on the brand or what the purpose of the ship is. So these are very big changes that are coming, but the main takeaway is that these archetypes are just reference frames for the type of tuning you want to give a ship. It does not mean that every ship that you have in the verse will fit a specific archetype. There are ships which are in between. For example, the Saber. Is it a medium or a light fighter? It's somewhere in between. The Cutlass has not the durability of a heavy fighter, has, however, the turret of a heavy fighter, so it's somewhere in between. So there are ships which do not fit exactly into these frames. But this is the beauty of it, because these ships, we can make them fit anywhere where they want. We just need to make sure that the balance between them is right. Not everything fits in a box, and it would be very boring if it did.
So this is very tier 0 sounding, which is, how could it be anything else at this stage with what we've seen in Arena Commander tests, how many ships they have to do? All these ships are going to be in a box based on their size and role, but can be tuned a little bit within that box, right? Next, they talk about something that I thought was kind of stupid until this clip.
Precision targeting is a new way of aiming at specific parts of a ship. You get the zoomed-in picture of your target, and it allows you to paint over specific components of the ship. So if you want to take out the thrusters, you simply aim towards the thrusters and your gimbals will make sure the bullet lands exactly where you're aiming.
It's a big rework of the entire target system with the goal to make it not only fit master modes, but also fit the problems we've had with target in the past, which is the control of the weapons and the accuracy.
So again, from Squadron 42, the demos and stuff, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird, arcadey, but I love the way it looks. They later explained that this could be used to take out turrets on ships like the Hammerhead. I think this is awesome, but take note that none of the highlighted items were ship components like power plants and shields, only engines and turrets, right? So I think the system has more to go and is still in its infancy, right? Lastly, they talked about weapons.
What we're doing is we're bringing all weapons into 3 archetypes. We have the anti-fighter weapons that have higher fire rate and a higher velocity that allows you to hit targets such as a horde of gladiuses. And then we have the anti-material weapons. Anti-material weapons is the one you bring out when you and your friends want to hunt a hammerhead. It's got the highest damage of all the weapons. You want to deal as much damage as possible, but the target is big and it moves slow, so you don't have to worry as much about actually hitting the target. And then we have unspecialized weapons, which are in between the anti-fighters and the anti-materials.
And this should come at zero surprise, but I was kind of a little surprised by this. Weapons and components have to be in these archetype-like boxes as well. They kind of have been for years, but now they seem to be simplifying them even more now. Regardless, I kind of like the choice. If you want to take out smaller ships, as in not fly them, but like destroy them, you know what kind of gear you need to bring. And then we had a Star Citizen Live question and answer about distribution centers. A lot of people had some questions, right? So yeah, they talk about distribution centers a lot, but they don't say a lot. So we have a few clips to pull out here. And the first clip was asking if these are going to be copy and paste like the bunkers that we have today.
So yes and no. So the main form, the main structure, that is going to look the same, but there are feathering assets around each DC to make them all unique, I suppose. Some are going to have quite a large footprint. I mean, it's a big thing on the ground anyway, but there's going to be a bit more of a spread on some of them, and some of them are going to be smaller. But yes, visually, they will be different from the exterior so that you do feel like you're going to a different place each time. Also, we have factions that own each one, and that will be, their branding will be on the building, the name of the place will be different. You know, you'll go into the lobby and the brand, you know, that corporate facing area is going to be branded to that faction. So that will be quite novel, which would be nice. But they are not just a copy and paste of the same, well, even though I just said that. They do feel different, I would say, when you're flying to them. And also they are, you know, some of them are where they are on the on planets, they're next to, you know, interesting features. So hopefully you'll get a recognition of, oh, this is the place on Stanton 1 because it's next to this lovely sea and the sun never goes down. Oh, I know the one you're talking about, I'll meet you there.
He starts out saying yes and no. It's not yes and no, it's yes. They sounded like they will have a different coat of paint, basically, with maybe some different NPCs inside. But I think something at this large would certainly not be as boring as bunkers as quickly, right? So they could be the same and just have a coat of paint but still be 10 times more interesting, right? But they could fall down the same repetitive fate if they don't make them a unique, cool place to interact with. I think it matters what we do there. I don't necessarily think it matters what they look like if they're this large, right? You're not always going to be at the same location inside of the bunker, right? Next, people asked where they'll be, and the answer was actually sort of surprising.
People have asked where these are going in 323. I think there's approximately 13-ish. Where are they going? Is it just planets? Is it planets and moons?
So in this initial release, it will just be planets. We've considered having them on moons, but due to time constraints, we won't be releasing initially on moons. This is just because we need Well, I believe that the wings should be different when you're in a like an airless atmosphere.
Right.
You know, the way you're interacting with cargo and moving things around in zero G is going to be different to when you're in gravity. So because we don't have those things yet, we won't be releasing them yet. But so for the moment, for this release, planets only.
Right, and when you say planets, I assume that we can take out Crusader and we can take out ArcCorp. Crusader because there is no surface that we can reach, and ArcCorp because it's not made in the same way that Hurston and Microtech. So these are 13 split amongst Hurston and Microtech for 323.
So first, it was surprising that there are only 2 main locations, right? But it also makes sense why. And I love the answer about the moons with lower gravity. He said no gravity, but lower gravity. There is a ton of potential to make good use of the fact that you can jump a little higher, or, you know, like things might be easier to carry at these locations. So the exact opposite of the last answer, which was a non-answer in a lot of ways. They were very clear that they want these to be cool, fun, and unique. Right? So we're not doing them until we can, and I give thumbs up to that. And then the final answer is they answer the PvP questions that everyone had from last week.
And my understanding is that in 323, these have an additional layer of security.
Yeah, so the friendly ones are going to be more towards the rest stop level of security.
So with green zones.
With green zones.
All right. So there will for 323, because we don't have the full law and order system.
It's a stop towards.
Some of these distribution centers will have a green zone.
Yep.
And that'll protect the players who, you know, those lawful, unaggressive players.
Yep.
You know, it's like, oh, well, if I'm going to take a mission, you know, I don't think we'll outright tell them which is which. It's one of those things we like people to discover on their own. But you'll discover, okay, missions to this distribution center and this distribution center are safe. You know, it's I can go there. I can be a lawful, unaggressive player and not get harassed and stuff like that. And then there's the super aggressive where it's just I just want to be a pain in the ass for somebody and go. And then there'll be the collection of ones in between.
Exactly.
Okay. And that is, of course, until the law and order system continues to evolve.
Now, in my opinion, the dev's answer was a little bit weird. Link will be in the description if you guys want to check it out. Jared summed it up a bit better, in my opinion. Also, I think green zones are full no guns, like the inside of a station, not the outside of like Everus Harbor. So anyone who's worried about certain locations should be fine for now, as they said this is a stopgap because they want to protect players for now until the game can. This is kind of a big deal because they've largely said everything is open and do whatever you want for a long time, and they seem to be changing their tune on that with recent events. Lastly, they had a dev interview with Forrest Steffen, and who's been there since basically day one. I'm sure it's cool. You guys could check it out. Link will be in the description, but there's really nothing for me to clip out here. So let's move on to other updates. All right, we're starting out with the sneak peek as always, and there's actually a lot more than meets the eye here. So the first thing that sticks out is the name right in the center, AeroView hangars. These can be found in your ship packages, and they were an old part of the old hangar module as well. Part of the original pitch of the game that we would own a type of hangar from a company. AeroView were sort of the business hangar. I think that was actually the original name of it. Second thing to point out, the floor is not flat solid. It looks like the top of a hangar that you leave vertically. But you could tell by the numbers on the side, this isn't the top. This isn't upside down. This is the floor. So this is likely the way our ships are now going to spawn in. They're going to come from the ground. No more magic pop-ins. So if you're inside of your ship, is your ship going to rise up and appear from the bottom? That's going to be really cool if it's the case. So yeah, there could be more storage down there. I don't know, man. This is really, really cool. There's so much to see here, right? This update's amazing just in one picture. The last thing is the dark gray room that is probably a waste of breath, but it looks like a little storage area. But my bet is these will all be static and something we cannot interact with. Citizencon. They announced Citizencon Manchester 2024. This doesn't feel like a big surprise. There's tons of speculation around Squadron 42, big announcement, so on and so forth. But something about Squadron 42 will be there, right? But Also, Squadron 42 was all of last year. Everything that was shown at Citizencon was Squadron 42 related for the most part, right? Except for Pyro. So, yeah, it was Pyro themed, but it was definitely Squadron 42 themed. So, I don't know. In the end, if they have a similar level of awesome updates as they did last year about the PU, I'll be happy. Anything else is a bonus. And then the last thing that we'll talk about is a post from Richard Tyrer. There's a lot more here. There's a post from Yogi and all these things. So a backer made a really weird post about Yogi and how he talked about ISC, ship combat, things like that. And we just ended up with some cool information from Rich here. So the only thing I think is really worth pointing out is that they really want us to research blueprints. Research what? And then I just really look forward to finding out how that actually works. But also, pretty badass for Rich to stand up for his developers, right? He's really passionate, really protective, it seems. Kind of cool. We didn't see this from many other people in the past. So he kind of talked about how Stanton will also be more safe, and it's, will be better with game systems, which is great in words, but action is what I look forward to seeing in practice. So, yeah. But that'll do it for this week's Answer the Call Week in Review. I don't know anymore. This is going to be a weird outro. As you guys know, life has not been the greatest, and getting this stuff done has been really, really difficult. I'm doing this super early in the morning, right before my stream on Sunday. So, yeah. Leave a like for putting this stuff together. Leave a like for the new editing that's super, super good. And yeah, Lola's doing okay, but Lola still has cancer, so it's not the greatest situation. But I know you guys asked a lot about that, and yeah, I don't know. The Idris event's crazy. A lot of things are moving in Star Citizen. When will we see a 323? Evo patch now is the next thing that we're all looking out for, because we're going to be able to talk about it, and that's a really big deal to see what the first patch kind of has in it, what's ready to go, what's not, right? But I think the highlight of the entire updates of the week, for me, guys, it was that sneak peek. That hangar update is really cool. I know it's simple and small, but that was really cool. So leave a comment down below, as always. Leave a like, all that stuff. Hit the link in the description for Manscaped. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring. As always, yet again, these guys are awesome. They've been really taking care of me for forever now, and yeah, they're the best. So leave a comment down below, subscribe, all that stuff. Worst outro in history. You can leave that comment down below as well. Let me know how great this outro was, and I'll catch you guys next week.